So, in the date that I finally believe that's actually, gonna hold true and the fight's gonna happen, it's official now as of a couple of days ago that IBF mandatory 135 pounder George Kambosos is finally going to get a shot at WBC franchise, WBA Super, WBO, Ring Magazine, and of course, IBF champion Teófimo López. As you can hear, even doing this video, I'm tired of talking about this fight. But however, now that I know that it's going to be on the zone, a broadcaster that, we know is actually going to put on the fight. Here in the States is for the zone, it's about $22 a month after taxes or, $100 a year. Over in the UK, I'm expecting for it to be on the zone, which they're paying something like, $8, something like that, a month. I don't know how much they're charging for a year. It's going to be promoted by Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, the second highest bidder after Triller. Eddie Hearn bid exactly $3.56 million. And Bob Arum, top ranked number three, $2.3 million. And Bob Arum, here in this quote from the Ring Magazine article, insane price. He didn't even want to even bid the 2.3 million. And let's face it, this fight right now, by the time Teófimo López gets back into the ring, it will literally be 13 months, November the 27th, in the Hulu Theater, which is called the Small Room here in the States in Madison Square Garden in New York. Vaccine mandates. So me personally, I'm not allowed to go. But to leave that part alone, expect for it to be new promotion, meaning a new press conference sometime in the next week or two, it being October the 22nd right now. And the reason is it's a whole new promoter, whole new platform, whole new everything. So everything that was involved with Triller is all null and void, wasted content. They have to do their own. So George Kambosos, 19 and 0 with 10 KOs, 28 years old. He's listed here at 5'9.5". But me personally, that's very generous, especially if you look at that press conference he's had over on Triller with Teófimo. He had on about 2-3 inch lifts. I'm going to say that, he's about 5'7". His last fight was also close to a year ago when he fought on Halloween of last year, 2020, against Lee Selby in that title eliminator. Before that, Mickey Bay, and the fights before that pretty much of no type of note and no one cares about. But on the plus side for George Kambosos, his name through all of this has been getting, for good or bad, like more known. And now that the fight's taken so long to make, I'm going to go ahead and say that I consider it a 50-50 fight. No disrespect to George, not because George um um is better than Teófimo López, a better fighter or boxer. I just think on Teófimo's side, there's been a lot of distractions, and for both of these fighters, they've been in and out of camp, gaining weight, cutting weight for now a year, you know, at least what, 10 months or so preparing for this fight. Teófimo López, 16 and 0 with 12 KOs. His last fight was 1 year ago last weekend against Vasiliy Lomachenko, in which, in my opinion, he clearly won that fight. Lomachenko just started too late. If you don't know, Top Rank wants to make Lopez versus Loma too, but Lopez is talking about he don't want it. Loma is supposed to be returning in December against Richard Comey, who Teófimo knocked out. So, to become mandatory for the IBF title, crazy enough. So right now, no undercard information has been released. I'm interested in how this fight's going to sell ticket wise because after all, Triller couldn't sell any tickets for this fight. So we're to believe that Eddie Hearn's supposed to. I mean, yeah, Eddie Hearn does have a name and brand recognition and confidence among boxing fans to know, okay, if we buy this ticket, this event is not going to be canceled and it's going to take place on November the 27th in the Hulu Theater. But after what we've seen this weekend, before I let Big J in, looking at the 135-pound division, I'm tired of all the talking from Teófimo López, Devin Haney, Jojo Diaz, Ryan Garcia. We can leave Tank out of it because at least Tank right now is actually actively fighting if he's not fighting the guys that we, want him to fight. But also, he's not going on with the back and forth with the Teófimo López, the Devin Haney's, and the Ryan Garcias anymore. So right now, to break down what's going on, Tank Davis, Rolly Romero, for the WBA WBA intertitle unification, to unify the WBA and WBA world titles. The winner of that is going to be the mandatory for Lopez versus Cambosos, winner. And from my understanding, they are now going to be the first mandatory, because right now there's no WBO mandatory. I can expect, or you should expect, for Lomachenko versus Comey to be for the next WBO mandatory. George Kambosos is the IBF mandatory. Next after him is Isaac Cruz. I believe Isaac Cruz did fight in a final eliminator. But as it stands right now, with the WBA having been forced to get rid of their WBA World, Interim, and Gold titles, the winner of Tank versus Rolly Romero will be the WBA mandatory. And right now, it seems as though that's going to be the first mandatory. And that's crazy for me to even say that the WBA is going to order a mandatory. But, I'm going to bring Big J in. Your thoughts on this fight?
Well, I'm finally glad that a decent promoter's got this fight and it's actually going to happen. Because like everyone else in the world, I'm totally sick of hearing about this fight. It was the biggest clusterfuck in boxing history. I'm totally sick of Teófimo and his father and all the bullshit they go on with.
Yeah, explain that. You were talking about it earlier.
Well, I saw a video where Teófimo Sr. sitting there yelling at Eddie, betting him $100,000 over some bullshit. I didn't watch the whole thing. As soon as I see
that Devin Haney, that Teófimo López would beat Devin Haney. He was yelling belligerently at Eddie Hearn. Yeah. Like, bet 100,000 that he doesn't beat my son.
Yeah, well, as soon as Teófimo Sr. starts talking, I just turn off. I'm like, I'm not listening to this guy. Was he ever a boxer, anything like that?
No, not from my understanding.
Okay, so he's living vicariously through his son, okay, one of those types. Fuck, Jesus, don't get me started. I shouldn't blaspheme, but let's not start a rant on his father. He's not very important.
Yeah, but his father does have, a reputation. He used the same type of tactics to get a fight with Lomachenko. He had, a confrontation with Lomachenko and his team before that fight.
Yeah, but that was going to happen anyway because Lopez had the IBF belt. That was always going to happen.
Yeah.
Two fighters with all the belts at top rank. Bob was always going to make that happen. So it wouldn't have mattered what his father did.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, he's not important. He's just a wannabe. So let's not worry about him.
What's your concerns about Teófimo? Now, we know for sure that the fight is happening on the 27th. What's your concerns about him now? Now that he's been out the ring it'll be over a year by the time he gets into the ring.
Well, we've mentioned it many, many times, and I've seen a couple of other videos on YouTube about it, that a lot of people are concerned that he's going to lose the belt. He's going to do a Shannon Courtney and lose the belts on the fucking scales. Obviously, he's not going to use the same bullshit excuse, but, because that guy's freaking huge. He looks, 150? Yeah. Walking around, maybe heavier.
Yeah.
He's a friggin' unit. He's a solid little bugger. I'll give him that. That's for sure. He always looks solid, he always looks chiseled.
Yeah.
He doesn't look soft. He got that hard chiseled look. So.
Yeah, and that would be a total disaster.
He's got a hell of a physique on him.
That would be a total disaster. That if he loses the belts on the scales and then goes on the beach, George Kambosos, all of those belts would be fractured. All of them. And it would take God knows how long, for them to be unified, for undisputed again, before the politics.
Oh, that's right, because the WBA would make Lomachenko fight
Comey or somebody, yeah, and then the IBF, will go to the PBC side. That's Isaac Cruz, WBA.
Wouldn't make them fight George, but they'd make them fight George. Maybe,
probably, but either way, each title would be fractured, and they would be all fractured with different promoters and broadcasters, and it would take some time for them to be collected again. you know, if they do
Oh,
ever get collected again, you know. So Teófimo López needs to be
yeah.
doing everything in his power, you know, to make sure he makes weight. But also, if he makes weight, how is he going to look in the ring?
Well, don't know. I mean, I don't know. This fight is truly 50-50 because you just don't know which way to go because there's just so many. They've been so long out of the ring. There's been so many interruptions. There's been so much bullshit. You can't call it either way of either confidence. As you said, you know, Teófimo's got the one punch power, but he hasn't done bugger all for a year. But then again, he's what? He's only 23, 24.
Yeah.
He's only a kid, so that shouldn't really affect him. I mean, George is in his prime, a little older at 28, but yeah, I'm going 55-45 in the favour of Teófimo only because he's got that one punch knockout power.
If George were to win, you know, how would you favor him to win?
Oh, he'd have to outwork him. He'd have to outwork him, stay away from the power, circle around on the left, work him on the inside, and just crack the shit out of his ribs. That's the way you always win. Body shots. Just break his bloody ribs and don't let the bastard breathe. So,
yeah, well, we don't know if Cambosos can take the power that we've witnessed. We know he's got power. You know, the shots that lifted Lomachenko off of his feet. We don't know if George can take those type of shots because we've never seen him in a fight that can show us like, okay, all right, I believe that this guy can hang in there. You know, I'm not.
Yeah, well, that's right, man.
You know, I do have concerns.
Well, obviously, because George, as you said, he's never been up against a power puncher like Teófimo. Because Teófimo can fucking hit. I mean, look those body shots did to Lomachenko in the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
Scared the shit out of him.
Yeah.
He spent the next 6 rounds avoiding it. So we all saw that. I mean, as soon as he hit him with that first body shot to the gut, bloody scared the shit out of Lomachenko. Yeah. And he took off for 6 rounds. So, yeah, I mean, that is a real concern. But you just don't. I mean, it's too close to call. I mean, if anyone says that either man's going to win either way, yeah, there's too many factors. It's been too long, and really, I mean, I'm just like you, just like shit. We're still talking about this.
Yeah, because when we first started talking about this fight, you know, I was heavily saying, all right, you know what, it's going to be Teófimo. You know, but now with everything that's been happening on the outside of the ring, you know that stuff can carry over inside of the ring.
Well, exactly. I mean, you know, Teófimo's had a lot of distractions. He got COVID, in inverted commas, pissed off to Italy.
Mm-hmm.
How pregnant is his wife? Have they had their first child yet? She must be very close.
I do not know. That's also for both fighters, you know, having children. You know, Teófimo getting married.
George has had his third child, not a little boy, so congrats to him and the family. So that was 3 or 4 weeks ago now, but yeah, they had a little boy. Teófimo, no, nothing, but that's all right. That's their business, and good luck to them. So, yeah, but that's another factor. We don't know when his wife is due. So there's another cloud hanging over his head. You know, there's a lot of outside factors in this fight that shouldn't be affecting it at all. But you know, Triller and let's say Teófimo, because Teófimo sold a whole bunch of bullshit.
Triller bought it, believed 2 million pay-per-view buys.
Fuck off, 2.2 million buys. He couldn't get 2.2 thousand buys.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
But
and
you know, to be fair,
a lot of people that fight away.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of people, you know, don't really mention how originally Lopez versus Cambosos wasn't supposed to be its own event. It was like, you know, a throw-in. Here's a real boxing match for what we're going to put on with Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield.
Evander Holyfield 3. Yeah. Yeah, but another thing Triller fucked up, but, you know, let's not get into that.
Yeah, you know, so me personally, I'm done. You know, I've already announced that, you know what, Triller's got a lot of learning to do in the business. You know, I may have said some harsh things, so I'm going to dial it back a little bit. But overall, I'm done with Triller until they show that they can be consistent and put on consistently good fights. Because as it stands, I don't want them to be bidding on any more fights. I mean, look what has happened with this event. And also, you know, fans have to be frustrated because you buy a ticket to their fight, you don't know if it's going to be canceled or moved or not. It even happened with Oscar De La Hoya versus Vitor Belfort. You know, rumors are
Yeah,
that Oscar De La
exactly.
Hoya didn't have COVID. I'm not saying that but you know, you never know these days. You know, when you're hearing that poor ticket sales, and then all of a sudden a fight gets canceled, you know, for whatever. Most recently, you know, just a few days ago, Dylan White pulled out of his fight next week against Otto Wallin,
Bullshit.
citing a
Bullshit.
shoulder injury. So these days with boxing, and it doesn't help.
Fuck.
And worse yet, a stablemate, managerial stablemate of Teófimo López, Charles Conwell, did an interview with ESPN claiming that the manager, same manager of Lopez, you know, and Conwell, you know, advised him to fake a hand injury. So,
Yeah, we've heard about that.
you know, so
I didn't know about
that's a
Dylan
whole
White.
ESPN article. Like that's news that has to be reported on. So you know, it's all shady to me. But right now, I do feel confident. You know, they can say like, okay, all right, cool. Eddie's got this under control. It's on the zone. We know this fight is happening. November the 27th. I'm gonna turn the floor over to you. Your thoughts, and then you can get some
Yeah,
shout outs
well,
to Shannon O'Connell.
yeah. Well, first I didn't know about Dylan White. That's a bit of a shocker, but anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie will take care of this. This won't be a problem. I mean, you know, is Eddie going to put his best efforts into it? Probably not. But you know, he's a professional. He's a real promoter. As Bob Arum said, he's happy to work with him. He knows how well Eddie works. We all know Eddie can put on a good show.
Mm-hmm.
But can he sell? Oh, what's the nice equivalent that you could say about this fight? I don't know.
And by the
Can he?
way, Tio is set to make about 2.3 million plus. You know, I'm talking about from the purse split, 65-35, and Cambosos is a little over 1.2 million. And also, you stated, you know, that they split the deposit as well, right? The 1.2 million dollar
Yeah,
deposit.
$1.2 million deposit I've read, I believe, goes 60-30, the same split, 60-35 in
Mm.
favour of Teófimo. So Trilla lost that money and it'll go to the fighters. I've read that
Yeah,
more than once.
so Teofimo, you know, make about 2.5 million plus or so, you know, 2.6 or so, and then Cambosos about 1.5. They're making some really good money. And in this day and age, that guaranteed money, don't expect for the undercard to be too good. You know, expect, you know, some young fighters. But I don't expect too much from the undercard.
Nah, no, at all. But if they got a couple of young blokes in there, give them a bit of exposure, you know, it's win-win-win. Why not? So,
Yeah, well,
you
I'm
know,
just
maybe
glad that
there's
the
a.
fight, you know, I'm just glad that the fight is happening. You know, I just
Oh,
wanted to be
yeah,
over.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're totally and utterly sick of this. And as we said, if George pulls off the upset, that's just going to pretty much fuck everything for the promoters. It'll be
Yeah,
good for us. It'll be good for
yeah,
the Australians. You know, Lou DeBell will be doing cartwheels down wherever he lives, down the bloody whatever street he lives in.
yeah,
Like, yeah, everyone in Australia will go ape, or they bloody well should. They'll go ape shit. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know what's going. I don't know what would happen after that. They'd probably be an immediate rematch or all that stuff, but that would be okay. But yeah, I mean, the sooner this fight gets over and done with, the better. Because I mean, what's it now? It's only about 36 days away or something like that. That's about right, isn't
yeah,
it? 36 days,
yeah. About
something like that. So about that. So yeah, the sooner it gets over, the better, and we can all move on to, you know, bigger and better things. But as I've said many times, I want George to kick the shit out of TFM. He really bugs the shit out of me. That
yeah,
kid.
that
It's
would
a
mess
pain in the
up. That
ass,
would
isn't he?
mess up a lot because I don't think there's a rematch clause.
Well, that would fuck everything
Yeah,
up,
that would
wouldn't it?
fuck. That
So,
would fuck everything. Like George Kambosos would be the man, and you know that would be crazy right there. That George Kambosos becomes undisputed champion and becomes WBC franchise. That would be, you know, right then, right there. He would, you know, how far would that shoot him up in the all time boxing rankings of Aussie fighters to become undisputed?
oh shit, he'd be number one. Be number one. And
Crazy.
you take out costume, you take out Victor Chinian, because you know they're not born and bred Aussies. He'd shoot to number one
He would be the man
straight
that
away.
he would be the man that beat the man that beat Lomachenko. That just sounds crazy
Exactly.
right there.
Yeah. Because yeah, as I said, this is the biggest opportunity since Glenn Kelly fought Roy Jones back in February of 2002, when
Mm-hmm.
Jones he had what, about 6 fucking belts or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
some ridiculous amount of belts. This is the second biggest opportunity since then. Now here's the thing: if George wins, who do you think he'd take on first, Devin or Tank?
They're going to throw. Listen, with Tank, Mayweather Promotions would throw the money at, and PBC would throw so much money that way. It would be an all out. It would be an all out war, because you got to think, what would be the reason for him to fight Devin Haney? Because Devin Haney wouldn't be mandated to fight him, and it wouldn't be more money in Devin Haney than it would be in Tank. That would be a pay-per-view. Like they would do Davis, they would do Tank Davis versus George Kambosos on pay-per-view here in the States for all the belts. Like, Devin Haney and Matchroom wouldn't be able to compete with that.
You don't think they want to bring out here and
look at being on stateside pay-per-view as the pinnacle, the highest you can go. Kambosos wouldn't turn that down.
You don't think they'd bring it out here and try to pack out 60,000?
Nope. American pay-per-view.
No, I don't think so. Fair enough. Yeah,
if Kambosos wins, if Kambosos wins and they don't fight, Tank, then Matchroom, would likely bring it to Australia. With
sure.
Haney, they would likely bring Kambosos Haney to Australia. But if Kambosos wins, I really think it's going to be Tank Davis. If Tank Davis beats this Rolly Romero, which he's supposed to.
Yeah, Tank's more of a solid name.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's got that Mayweather train behind him, so you can't say no to that.
Exactly. Yes, even that. But all right, closing thoughts.
I wanted to be over. I want George to win. And a quick shout out to Shannon O'Connell, who's fighting Taylor Robinson tomorrow night. I mean, what time's it now? Hang on. It's about 8 minutes to midnight. So tomorrow night, she's putting her Commonwealth Bantamweight title on the line. Mm-hmm. The only reason I mention it because Shannon O'Connell should have fought Shannon Courtenay for the WBA belt, because apparently, or she's still the number one contender for that. And Taylor Robinson's 3-0. So if Taylor wins, that could be bad for Shannon O'Connell, because she's like, 30 fights in?
Yeah.
So people keep on saying she's the queen of Australian boxing, which she's not. Susie's the queen. Susie Ramadan's the queen. Shannon's second. Well, even third if you throw in Diana Prozac in there, because Diana beat Shannon about 6 years ago. Mm. So... just quick shout out to her, because it's a nice little fight on the Gold Coast. Nick Noonan from Australian Fight Hype's commentating along with Ben Marnie. Had to pull out of the zoo fight because they can't get into bloody New South Wales, and another fella's commentating there. So just a little shout out to those guys. We'll bring that. We're doing a Australian video next week, aren't you? So I'll bring the results of that fight next week.
Yeah, we'll be doing an all Australian boxing video next week.
Lots to talk about. So lots of things happening in Aussie boxing. Jai Patai's going to get his shot. George Tim Zoo's fight. There's a Harry. Remember the Olympian bloke, Harry? What's his name? Harry Garside. Mm-hmm. He's turning pro on the Zoo undercard.
Yeah, our thoughts on Brock Jarvis.
Brock Jarvis. Yeah, I forgot about him. So, lots to talk about next Australian video.
All right, take your time out, like the video, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at T Street Controversy, and Big J at Old Mate Big J. Website down below, FightView360.com has the link to the boxing rankings if you want to check them out. They're updated monthly in accordance with the sanctioning bodies. Also down below is a link to for Roku, Apple, Android for the WBC channel, powered by the Vive Network. We're going to be doing interviews in conjunction with them soon. Mauricio Suleiman, George Kambosos, even though things are taking a little longer, we'll still creep in there to make sure, steps closer to making sure we're getting everything you need and to make sure things are done thoroughly. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. This is T Street Controversy and Big J with FightView360.com.